Well, it is time for a newsfeed coming to you live from our studios right here in Parklands, Nairobi. I'm glad that you could join us this afternoon as we take a look at the news stories making headlines here and beyond. My name is Linda Alela, and let's kickstart as we take a look at what it is that my team has prepared. And we start off on matters health as nurses insist their strike, which is on the 36th day, is still on. The health workers are accusing county governments of failing to sign the return to work formula. The strike has paralyzed services in public health facilities, and let's listen in.
It was to be signed by both levels of government, and as you have already seen, the management of clinical officers strike. They signed a return to work formula which was disowned by the Council of Governors. It's unfortunate that even the initial signing of the return to work formula for the nurses union has not taken place, despite the fact that the issues we agreed on all the issues. And this is a clear indication that health sector in this country has not been taken with the seriousness it deserves. Kenyans are suffering outside there. This is because our leaders are not ready to provide leadership. Because if they are ready to provide leadership, then what is holding them to call the leadership of the union and come up with a way forward? It is clear that nurses and other health workers, and more so the health of Kenyans, nobody cares about it. And therefore, we are calling upon the leadership of this country to ensure that the rights of Kenyans that are enshrined in the Constitution are taken care of. Because we are not doing justice to the Kenyans. We are not doing justice to the health workers. Because the government agreed, if you see the agreement, the matrix that we agreed, the intergovernmental agency meetings, they agreed that indeed the issues that had been raised by the nurses were very genuine. It is agreeable that the issues that are being raised are very, very, very genuine. And therefore, when we come up with an agreement and say that indeed we have dropped this, we have taken this, in the spirit of give and take, we came up with an agreement which up to today, the government has given a blind eye. And therefore, we urge our members to stay put, because we did not go outside for the sake of it. We went outside because of legitimate issues, very genuine issues, and we cannot say that these issues have been resolved until we sign an agreement of commitment that indeed these issues are going to be addressed. Kwa hivyo ni kwamba sisi kama wauguzi atubaduki, kwa sababu kama tulisha sungumza tayari na tukakubaliana huu mkataba ndio tutatia sahihi, basi ilifika wapi serikali ikapotea? Sisi tunaomba viongozi wa hii nchi ambao wametwikwa jukumu ya kuwahudumia wananchi wa Kenya. Katiba ya Kenya inawapa wananchi wa Kenya kupata huduma za matibabu. Hatufanyi haki kwa Wakenya wakati tunapo yaangalia masuala ambayo wauguzi na wahudumu wengine wa afya wanaibua na tunaendelea kuwanyamasia. Si haki kwa wahudumu wa afya, si haki kwa wauguzi, si haki kwa Wakenya. Kwa hivyo sisi kama
Well, away from that, students from Kenya Medical Training College in Mombasa County have today joined the Health Workers Union in the county in a demonstration calling on the national and county governments to end the ongoing health crisis. The medical students claim that the ongoing strike has greatly affected medical students nationwide with their clinical practices, especially final year students.
It is my responsibility to lead the national government, led by His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, Ministry of Health, led by CS Mutahi Kagwe, and the county governments in our country, that their failure to take with great concern and sort the health workers' grievances has not only affected the thousands of sick Kenyans who cannot access the health facilities or the health workers, but it has also affected medical students nationwide. owing the fact that medical students is largely based. Medical students studies is largely based on hospital, what we call clinical practice, ward rotations and assessment.
Sisi tunataka kuuliza Governor Joho, which criteria ambao ulitumia kufuta madaktari wetu kazi, 88 doctors in Mombasa County. Number 2, tunataka kuuliza Mombasa County Service Board, criteria gani munatumia kuandika wale wauguzi kazi, kwa sababu tunaona ile service board inaongozwa na incompetent leaders ambao hawaja qualify kukuwa daktari. Unapata mtu ni engineer na amewekwa katika sekta ya health, anakuja kufanya nini? Kuna mapipes hapa za connect. Sisi tunaambia Governor Joho, we are coming to you. Come Friday tunaenda kuongoza all medical students to your office, wafanye practical into your office.
With all due respect, look for Seth Panyako, talk with him, so that the nurses can go back to work. Nurses are the backbone of the hospitals, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you this, for a matter of fact, Mutai Kagwe does not understand anything. Hospitals are not for business. Our work is to treat and people to go home. As we treat, we also need to be paid handsomely, not just salaries or wages. We need to be paid handsomely. Those people who are at home, some are our mothers, some are our sisters, some are our girlfriends. Now you can imagine somebody like me. I'm living with my girlfriend who is employed. She doesn't have a salary. How do I live?
Comrades, power! Power!
Well, let's shift gears a bit, and former Treasury PS Kamau Thuge will now be a key prosecution witness in the infamous Kimwarer and Aurora Dam scandal. That is the case after the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions withdrew charges against him. Thuge will now testify against his former boss, ex-CS Henry Rotich, in the multi-billion corruption case that he is facing in court, alongside former Wildlife PS Susan Koech, whose charges were also dropped by Milimani Anti-Corruption Court Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogote. Well, Kiambu County government, in conjunction with Dagoretti residents, have come to an amicable conclusion concerning the delayed road construction project leading to the Dagoretti Slaughterhouse, Dagoretti Market and the main bus terminus, led by Kiambu Governor James Nyoro. The county government is set to make use of 369 million shillings to complete the overdue project that has left parts of Dagoretti impassable. Nyoro also noted that since the funds were not included in the current financial budget, all those whose properties will be affected will be compensated in the next financial year.
Tukawa na 367 million ya kutengeneza barabara hapa, kuweka mataa na kutengeneza drainage. Lakini kukawa na shida moja, wakati walikuwa wakigawa mashamba, ile barabara ambayo iliachwa ni ya mita 6. Na ile barabara ambayo tungetaka kutengeneza ni ya mita 9. Kwa hivyo ikawa sasa lazima tuulize wenye mashamba atutolee mita 3, mita 1.5 na 1.5 kwa upande wote mbili. Sasa shida imekuwa kuwa sisi kama county hatukukuwa tumeweka hiyo pesa kwa budget ya mwaka huu. Na ndio sasa wao waliona kama hakuna mapenzi kwa upande wetu ya kuwalipa. Na ndio sasa leo tumeongea na tumesikizana na tumekubaliana kuwa kutoka kesho tutatuma survey, tutatuma road valuer na tutatuma National Road Commission wakuje wa evaluate, wajue kila mtu atapewa compensation ya kiasi gani. Halafu tutaandikania barua tuseme hata kama hawatalipwa hii financial year, watalipwa financial year ambao tutaanza kutoka Julai.
Residents of Fafi, Garissa County who qualify for education of higher learning have been urged to join teachers training colleges in a bid to curb the acute shortage of teachers in the northeastern region, while calling on the need for more residents to take up the teaching mantle. Fafi Member of Parliament Abdikarim Osman revealed that those who heed to the call will have their education expenses catered for by his administration. This, as statistics reveal, that 3 in every 13 non-local teachers in the area get recalled immediately after being posted amid terror fears.
Kama mtu ataenda kusoma kuwa mwalimu, tutalipa 100%. Saa hii tukiongea walimu wanatakana. Na juzi nimetumia kuna recruitment ya walimu. Hii shida itakusha kama sisi tuko tayari kufunza watoto wetu. Wacheni kulalamika saa yote. Pesa hiko ya kulipa shule. Sisi tuko tayari. Watoto hawana kazi. Vijana ambao wamesoma mpaka na degree karibu 2-3 wanakaa nyumbani. Kweli morongo? Kweli. Mbona wanakaa nyumbani na kuna degree na wamesoma? So ukuje usomeshe ndugu zako. Kwa hivyo tufanye bidii, vijana wetu, wasichana wetu ambao wamesoma wako na madigrii Fafi. Kuanzia kesho sisi tuko tayari kulipa kama utaenda Teachers Training College 100%. Hatuombi mtu yote, tuko tayari. Na chairman, hiyo order nimekupatia, unasikia? Mtu yote Fafi ambaye atakuja kwenda shule ama atakuwa mwalimu wa shule ama atakwenda college akuwe mwalimu, wewe lipia hata usiniulize 100%.
And now to the corridors of justice, and a section of lawyers and Kenyans have praised the retired Chief Justice David Maraga for his efforts in defending the independence of the judiciary. Lawyer Wafula Wawire says Maraga's efforts raised the bar and called on the acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu to uphold the rule of law. Maraga retired yesterday and handed over the instruments of power to his deputy Mwilu, who is now the acting Chief Justice.
My take kwa CJ mwenye ameretire David Maraga is that he's done a good job. Amejaribu sana ku defend independence of the judiciary, which has been lacking in Kenya. Kenya tumekuwa na situation where executive inataka control judiciary, but CJ Maraga amekuwa firm na akajaribu sana ku defend independence of the judiciary, what we call separation of powers. Historically, we compare CJs wenye tumekuwa nao. Maraga has done a good job, and we can only say that let him retire in peace and God bless him. Kama wakili, mimi ni wakili, I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. We believe that the state should not interfere kwa the election or selection of the next CJ. CJ mwenye atachukuliwa on merit na afanye kazi without fear or favor. My take, if I am given an opportunity kusema kwamba ungependa nani akuwe jaji mkuu ama chief justice, ukiangalia bench iko na judge wenye wako na maadili sana. Kama ingekuwa mimi, iko judge mmoja mimi naheshimu sana, anaitwa Justice Lenaola. Yani ingekuwa uwezo wangu na ama wanasema wewe Wafula choose nani unataka kuwe CJ, ningechukua Justice Lenaola. Na ninaomba tu tena nikirudia kwamba president aswe in our judges so that backlog ya cases isikuwe. Na judiciary ikuwe funded accordingly. Kusikuwe na ile situation inaonekana kwamba judiciary inakuwa punished.
And to a different matter altogether, congestion in many schools in Taita Taveta is still a challenge as more desks, classes and dormitories are being constructed, especially in boarding schools. Now, this comes just a week after learning resumed across the country. However, at least 90% of primary and secondary school pupils in the country are back in classes in the county. Now, the PS in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, Hamadi Boga, who led other government officials in an inspection tour in Taita Taveta, said that the government will consider pupils in special units to ensure they get the right to education.
Ni hiyo congestion ya kwenye dorms katika shule fulani kidogo. Na pia baada ya kuona hizo tumeona pia kuna harakati za kujenga dorms. Kwa hivyo kwa mfano tumeenda Dr. Agri, tumeona hiyo changamoto, lakini tunaona pia domu wanaharakisha kuimaliza. Katika watoto ambao wanasoma na sign language, sasa kama umevaa mask hakuna sign language. Kwa hivyo ni kutafuta mbinu za kufanya sign language, kwa sababu sign language inahusisha pia mdomo na facial expression. Kwa hivyo hapo tutaregesha kise na pengine wale wahusika katika sekta ya education tuone wataleta guidelines gani za kusomesha sign language, hali ya kwamba maski pia tutafanyaje. Na tumetembea hapa tumeona 90% wamerudi. Kuna wachache ambao hawajarudi. Madam County Commissioner na system yake nzima ya provincial administration ya hapa inashirikiana na walimu kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu ambaye anatakiwa awe kwenye darasa amerudi.
Well, still on educational matters, the PS State Department of Vocational Education, Alfred Cheriot, has warned parents whose children have not gone back to school that they will be prosecuted for denying their children right to access education. Boniface Baraza with the details.
Addressing the media outside the County Commissioner's office, PS Cheriot said the Constitution of Kenya guarantees every child right to education. The government officials also called on parents of impregnated girls to send them back to school.
All children must be in school, whether that child is pregnant or not, whether that child was in school and got a baby, that baby she must live at home and go to school. And it has been stated that any parent whose child has not reported in school will be prosecuted, because education in this country is mandatory, it is free.
His sentiments were echoed by Trans Nzoia County Commissioner Sam Ojwang, who said the government is carrying out a serious operation to ensure that all learners go back to school.
There is no negotiation that in the name of COVID a child is out there engaged in what we call child labor. So we are going to mount a serious operation that will be targeting all those who are school-age-going children to be in school.
Ojwang added that 11 private schools have been closed down in the region due to harsh economic times occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic.
11 private schools have so far closed, basically because they were not in a position to proceed with the program to do with education. And the program that we intend to embark on, courtesy of this visit by our principal secretaries, will be operation to ensure that the remaining 34% in terms of numbers of our students in primary and secondary schools go to school as is expected.
Boniface Barasa, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
Thanks, Boniface. Now, senior government officials have expressed concern over learners who are yet to resume their learning in Kisii County over a week after schools reopened in the country. Now, the officials, including permanent secretaries for gender, Professor Colette Suda, Health PS Susan Mochache, and East African Community PS Dr. Desai Kevit, noted that various stakeholders had moved to trace the missing learners in order to bring them back to school.
With the capitation only, and also saving from the school. So Madam was saying, it is the use of the money and how it's used.
Tumeweza kuona pia kupata kwamba kuna wengine hawajarudi shuleni kwa sababu tofauti. Wengine wasichana labda walipata mimba katika wakati huu mrefu ambao wamekuwa nyumbani, na wengine pia wameolewa. Lakini tumeweza kujadiliana na wasimamizi wa mashule pamoja na county commissioner na chiefs kuhakikisha kwamba hawa watoto wanatafutwa na kurudi shuleni. Pia tungependa kutilia mkazo kwa wazazi ambao wana watoto ambao labda walipata mimba, warudi shule wasome hadi wakati ambapo watajifungua.
Very smoothly. We have not been told of any challenges except the ones that I've shared with you. The learners who have not returned, the Ngao team is doing everything possible to trace them and bring them back to school.
Gold miners in Migori County are up in arms over Chinese contractors whom they say have invaded their gold mines and made some of them jobless. The miners are blaming the county government of Migori for failing to safeguard their source of livelihood. However, one of the investors in the gold mine says the purpose of the contractors is to conduct an environmental risk assessment ordered by the court. Now, the county government of Migori says it has no intention of pushing the locals out of the mines.
Source of livelihood. Mtoto akienda shule ni hapa, watu wakikula ni hapa, nguo ikivalishwa ni hapa. Kila kitu kwa maisha yetu tangu kila wakati wote since time immemorial ni hapa. Na wakati wa Chinese na au makatels wamevamia hapa na wanafanya kazi wakitumia mashini makubwa, this place is completely damaged na hakuna mtu ama an individual mwenye atafanya kufanya kazi hapa na mkono wake.
Hakuna vile tutapata daily bread, hakuna vile tutapata basic needs. Sababu ni kwamba wakati hao watu walianza kufanya hii local mining hapa, hakuna mama anaweza fanya kazi hapa na hakuna baba anaweza fanya kazi hapa. Shida ni kwamba baadhi ya wale watu wameungana na wa China na wale wengine hawawezi kuturuhusu kufanya kazi hapa. Wameleta security ya polisi. Sasa hakuna vile tutakula, hakuna vile tutaishi, hakuna vile tutasomesha, hakuna vile tutapata matibabu.
Tuna nguvu na tuna uwezo. Kila siku tumelia. Vijana tuna nguvu, tunaweza jisifanyia kazi bila kufanya wizi, bila kupiga ngeta wenzetu. Mbona tuwache kwa upweke? Tafadhalini. Nyinyi ndio macho yetu. Kioo cha jamii ni nyinyi. Mnaweza mkatusaidia.
Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has threatened to dissolve management boards of coffee cooperative societies, which will deny farmers their right to borrow from the 3 billion coffee advance cherry fund. Now, speaking during a public participation meeting to sensitize farmers on the new coffee bill, Munya said that the ministry will crack the whip and dissolve cooperative societies. He added that the reason many farmers are not seeking loans is as a result of society officials failing to sign forms meant to release funds. The CS added that a huge portion of their funds set aside to revive the sector is lying idle in the banks.
Nataka kila society wahakikishe wamesaini hiyo form. Wale hawatasaini wakulima waombe pesa au dissolve the society. Mimi nitakuja kudissolve society. Wanaona kama ni mchezo, lakini hatutaendelea namna hii. Hii inaendelea kuelimisha na tutamaliza hili majuzi. Nikute society ile haijasaini hiyo form, I dissolve you. Then the farmers will elect other people who will help them access the money. Sidio? Hatutaendelea namna hiyo. Wewe sasa umepewa kazi na wakulima uwasaidie, utaki wasaidike. Unataka usaidike peke yako.
And to politics, there was drama at Nyandarua County Assembly earlier today after the impeached County Assembly Speaker Ndegwa Wahome, accompanied by his allies, stormed the assembly. Joanne Minor with a report. All right, well, yes, Joanne is working on that story. We'll be giving you details of the same on our subsequent bulletins. But away from it, a man who was arrested for impersonating a DCI officer before defrauding a government official in Osen, Baringo County, 2.9 million shillings has been arraigned at a Kabarnet court. Alexandria Kibet is said to have posed as an inspector of police attached to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters in Nairobi, who was investigating allegations of assaults against the government official. He would later be arrested on 10th January in Marigat town.